tape. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Ah! We're coming out of the walls. We don't know what to do. We're off the tape. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Ah!
One of the students asks, even if you only intend to use AI as a stopgap until you have the funds to support artists, you're woefully short-sighted. Real artists will refuse to work with people who think they're replaceable. We would have had more success with providing footage of a screensaver instead, because that's what your music videos look like. Think of it like this. By using AI whatsoever, you're making a statement that you think that part of the workflow is replaceable. Recently, James Cameron and Ridley Scott made statements that they want to use AI in their film production, despite having worked so closely with real artists over decades. Think about how grave of a trail that is, so I'll let you pick that up.
What trail that is?
The trail.
A trail. So again, it depends on what you define as acceptable use of AI. For example, let's just imagine you have a library of snare drum samples.
Yeah.
And you're making a song and you've got 100 snare drum samples.
Yeah.
You have to buy them, you have to make the microphone to record or create the synthesis of the snare drum.
Yeah, how do you take it, yeah.
Exactly, and you could have procedurally generated snare drums. Let's just say there's an AI offered. I want it more natural sounding and it's tuned in various ways. I want to tighten the chain underneath the snare.
Yeah.
So that's using AI for a specific purpose, and it's a limited way that you use it.
Fine tuning, isn't it? Musical in that case, yeah.
Fine tuning. So you could use it in that way, and someone might say, well, that's okay, because it's just a snare drum. It's a sample that lasts a second long.
Yeah.
But now we've got systems that, we've mentioned this before, you recorded presumably, called Udio, and it's worth realising that actually it's not just a snare drum or any particular limited aspect, it's the entire song now that can be constructed by
play sample
actually.
Play sample actually.
Well, there's a fair amount, and again, this is separate from. I just want to emphasise that we should always be creating as much as we can, even more now, with minimal input from AI. And you can say, make music videos, but to me that's not as important. And I will be honest in saying, okay, these are the AI tools used for the video, but the music, the time and the care I take for creating stuff, I'm just honest in saying that comes from me. It's on the software. I come up with the melody, the rhythms. We use sampling, but.
Well, I guess it's a similar. When electronic music started out, some musicians considered that cheating in some respect. So almost not, I don't know, quote unquote proper music, I suppose.
Yeah, I could talk 5 minutes to try to address the answer fully. But I can just, for example, this is the state of me putting in, I think it was me, or taking it from similar tags on this website called Udio. And it's so impressive, it's amazingly impressive. So just check this out. This is 100% AI made in a minute. Like that, you can do it in a minute. And just typing in romantic nocturne, classical period. Check it out.
Yeah, it reminds me a bit of Eric Satie, actually.
Yeah, similar pacing to it. Yeah, definitely.
Well, yeah, no, I suppose with something like piano music, it's obviously there's a lot of variation you can do with piano. A little bit of crescendo as well.
Wait, that is beautiful. To me, that passes the double line test. It's not for drill band. I'm all over it.
Yeah, I mean, it does sound pretty good. I mean, sound pretty good. I mean, obviously, like, we listen to it through a headset and everything, but you can't get the full audio clarity. But it sounds like someone playing piano, doesn't it?
Yeah. So I guess the capability of AI and what it's doing, but it's seen as like immoral because it's doing something that is traditionally seen as uniquely human.
Yes.
But this has been the case ever since computers can play chess. You know, computers will never be able to beat humans at chess because it's much more than just raw calculation.
Yeah.
That's we all know
that already happened,
difference.
didn't it? Yeah, that already happened, didn't it, with the chess?
Yeah, no, it's like, they'll never be able to write a book. And actually, today there's a article on, again, double-blind test is the way to do it. And it's important to preface this with saying the human creative element is obviously important because we know we're alive and conscious and connect to the creative process. That's not being denied. What we're talking about is just the output function of AI. So we pass the double-blind test, and it's up to the standard. But funnily enough, it's creating poetry that people prefer. You know,
really?
Yeah.
They've done like they've been
Google
testing it. Yeah. Can you explain what the double-point test is actually?
Yeah, I mean it's just if you're just exposed to something, but you don't have any knowledge of what it came from. So one classic example is blindfolding it, and then trying 2 drinks and going, which is what whiskey? And you're trying to guess the whiskey. And you've got no information to tell you what it is other than your experience of it, in whatever domain that might be. So if it's music, then you're just listening to it. So yeah, I mean it's just going through the domains, passing double-blind tests one after another, and acting is going to be. I mean, it's not there yet, but it's so naive to think that technology is going to stop when it comes to acting.
It tends to just move in one direction, unless there's like some sort of cataclysmic event, and it's invariably going to be a film, isn't it?
And also it gives you the tools to do things that. I mean, think how much money it would cost. Like, Chris, look up at the mountains to your 9 o'clock. So let's imagine we just want to make a movie about me and you being mountaineers.
Yeah.
Scaling these peaks, and we have some epic catastrophe, and then needs a rescue, and you drag me back here for a nice hot cup of tea.
Yeah.
What's the budget needed for that, and how practical is it to do that in our daily lives?
Well, I mean, there's some
35 hours to do.
Yeah, there's some high mountains in Scotland, but it would be quite a big logistical mission. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So these tools allow you to see that you can create,
Yeah.
which doesn't need a million.
It's a bit of a
budget.
in that sense they're democratizing, aren't they? I suppose they're actually increasing accessibility as well. So that's why it's a double-edged sword as well, I think, because whilst yes, some parts of the creative process, might be replaced. I mean, in the web industry, for example, which I've worked in for a long time, like ChatGPT, but any AI can already do. Say if you're like your job was doing like HTML5 emails, for example, you're completely replaceable. You've already been replaced because not even that long ago, some people, their entire job was just designing really good email templates, writing HTML for it. They don't have a real job anymore. But then obviously that is like an entry level web position, really. Whereas you're more advanced, like system developers and application. Really, AI can do a lot of it, and sometimes but they're not really fully replaced. But those developers are also using the tools a lot to enhance their own work too. So I think it's similar to that in the creative industries as well. To be honest. It's like some entry level stuff will be replaced, but most of it not.
Ultimately, this is going to be old-fashioned news in 10 years. The very thing we're talking about, the high-end system developers, that will be getting done in the same way that AI is now doing HTML stuff.
Yeah, possibly.
If you like it or not, this is going to happen. The best idea is to accept reality how it is, and where it's going, and adjust in the best way to benefit them.
Yeah. So, I guess that's probably what you'd advise that student too, is that because obviously they're worried about not being able to get work, and so let's expand on this.
Just on that topic, this is where like we're going to have to get accustomed to a growing intelligent age, basically. So if you want to be a concept artist, just go on Reddit and go on the Midjourney subreddit. Or Midjourney yourself, man, and just type in concept art for this type of game. Okay, so it's not exactly, you can't do everything, so you can change angle of a character to like a bird's eye view, and then like one from a ground perspective, first person perspective, all that. You got that over. It's still, how long's that going to last? And how necessary is that for concept art present day anyway? So it's making peace with knowing that AI is replacing these jobs, and you can still do it for fun. It then becomes an aspect of what you engage with that gives you personal meaning. I'm going to make music, for example, make silly videos, collaborate with people like our Doom video and all that. We're just going to do it for fun. We don't expect to. It's not like a career.
Well, I mean, I guess the other thing as well people would say is that potentially, if automation really does take off to the degree that a lot of people predict it will, then we won't have to work in the same way. The nature of work itself will change, so it won't be like, we've grown up in an era where, you're just expected to do a 9-to-5 job, or maybe there's been a bit more flexibility, obviously, in the last few years, but everyone sort of just had that expectation to, you have to like give your labour time to someone for 8 hours a day, and you do that for 5 days of the week, and that's your sort of contribution to society, and then you pay your taxes, and yada yada yada. But yeah, we're moving probably into something that's going to be a bit different, I suppose. What form that'll take is unknown, but yeah. I should ask another question though, so we did. That was good. No?
There's a quote saying that the ultimate sort of ambition of humanity is to be unemployed, so we just do what we love, and culture and society is propped up by
because then, industrial society.
You've gone, Chris. I can't hear you.
Really? Can you hear me now?
I hear you now.
Okay, so I've got a question. This should be fairly easy to answer. How do you get your inspiration?
I guess having do with experiencing something and thinking, oh, that could be cool if developed. So something like a melody, or if I'm humming something. If we're talking about music, that is. Or just a sound.
You can take it in any direction you want, but music, definitely.
Yeah, so just hearing a sound, and that can be a seed of an idea, and you just expand on it using the tools, whatever tools you're using. It doesn't have to be music; it can be filmmaking, or programming. Like you always have ideas, Chris. Of, you're making the space game, I remember you doing that.
Oh yeah, Space Jam, yeah.
And you just, for whatever reason, an idea just captivates you, and then you put effort into trying to make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's just like a flash of inspiration. It's like, but then it's just the process itself is like just engaging, isn't it? And it's sort of, I mean, I find it sort of just gives me meaning. I like enjoy doing it, and it just, I get bored if I just sit around too much and watch telly and stuff, to be honest.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like a great space to be in. You almost, you lose yourself in it, and it's a cliche thing to say, but it's a real thing as well.
Some philosophers think the only way that we create meaning is by creating something, because, well, not to get too philosophical, but a lot of philosophers think there isn't any, grand meaning behind everything, but what we create for ourselves, and that's the only meaning that we find in the world. Well, not the only meaning, that's a vast exaggeration, but it's one of the main ways that we find meaning in the world is by creating something.
I would say meaning's not handed down. Well, it's funny, because it is in a sense, because of, like you touched on, us being products of the universe, and that's true. So in that sense it's handed down, but in the same way that we are creating the meaning ourselves.
So you get like flash. I guess it's like what you're saying is like a lot of different things can inspire you. It could come from, I don't know, you go for a walk, or maybe you hear some sound like a bird song or something like that. You've included bird song, I think, in some of your music, and field recordings and all that sort of thing. So
yeah, it's great fun.
Can you tell the student what some of the students might not know what a field recording is, actually? So could you briefly explain that?
Yeah, it's just getting the ambience of an environment.
Yeah.
So if you were to do it optimally, you would get good sensitive equipment with minimal noise, and you just set up, if it's directional audio or an omni mic, and you just capture the sound of an environment. And it's funny, it kind of blasts you into the present a little bit by just sitting there and listening.
Almost like meditation, isn't it, I suppose? It makes you focus in more. The sounds your ears might usually filter out, I guess.
And what's interesting is that when we translate that into headphones or speakers, you've just got the left and right sources of sound. Yeah. But it's omnidirectional in life. So it'd be cool to emulate that somehow. I mean, we've got surround sound, but there has to be a more accurate way of doing it. I guess there's binaural stuff we can get into.
I've got another question. Because I think some of the students were a bit perplexed by your producer name, Copperknob. So simply, where did you get the name from for Copperknob, basically?
Copperknob. I had an uncle and my mum's son, so his brother. And he when going up to visit him in Aberdeen, you can imagine a real thick Scottish accent. I've got ginger hair, so whenever I met him, he put me in a headlock and go, Copperknob, yeah, Copperknob. So it's kind of honouring him, I suppose. Yeah.
That's nice, actually. Okay, so that's answered that one, and then
don't smoke, people. He died of cancer.
Yeah, it's not a good habit. Why did you choose to do this? I think that means using AI and video production and stuff like that. Why did you? What made you choose to experiment with it?
Because it allows more options than what you can otherwise do. With just your camera and quote real life.
Yeah, and I think as we've been talking about before, it's like just it's worth learning about because it's going to change, potentially change the world a lot. So you need to learn about it.
Massively. In one negative way is all the fake news.
Oh, absolutely, misinformation and that's the worry.
Big worry is we're going to have to encode AI-generated stuff to say this is AI, this is genuine.
They're already starting to do that quite a lot, much of the work, I think. Okay, so this is quite a personal question in some ways, so you don't have to necessarily answer it.
9 inches.
You can answer it how. No, it's not that one. It's how much money do you averagely make? I think that means in regards to your creative output, music and stuff. So
man, I don't track it. Just nothing beats stacking sats.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would. If you want to make money, invest in tech companies and put your money in Bitcoin, and don't hold it because it's still early days. 0.01% of all assets are held in digital. But do what you want with your money. But that's my advice.
Yeah. Okay.
So not a lot from my
it is an interesting one.
For the amount of time to the cat, it's so negligible.
Here's an interesting one. I'll give you like quite a few minutes to chew on this one actually. What do you think is an unethical use of AI? This is a big one.
Claiming it goes from degrees of invading a country would be like one of the worst things, or just like fraud to rob people, to pretend you're someone else, to scam people over the phone, all the way down to almost the category of a white lie when an artist says, "Oh, I made this." In fact, it was just a prompt into an AI software. See, that crosses an ethical boundary to me. I think you've got to be totally transparent.
Yeah, you've got to be completely transparent, yeah. Well, and you have been actually... So in your music videos, for example, on my headset battery's running a bit low, so... what's the saying? What's the term for it now?
Oh, unethical boundaries.
Oh, yeah, so... I think, like, as long as you're transparent... I agree, like, as long as you're transparent about the fact how... this is something we're encouraging our own students as well. It's like, if you are ever using AI tools, just justify why. Like, say what tools you've used. And as long as you can do that, like... so, for example, social media assignment we've been doing recently with the IT students, I've let them use AI to do some content creation because, real companies are doing that right now, so why wouldn't they? Like, it's a completely legitimate way to... This is a legitimate tool to use. I mean, obviously, if they used AI to generate an assignment, that is completely not okay. But
generate a what, sorry?
To generate an assignment. So, for example, if I give an assignment, like an essay. So if I give...
Okay, right, yeah, I'm with you.
For example.
100%.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we've touched on that a bit anyway in the conversation, I think.
What's funny? When you come across it in the wild, I was at a bar nearby. And I noticed immediately that the artwork on the wall, it was from this was like a year ago, but I think it was probably done by software maybe 2 years ago. Yeah. And you could immediately tell because of the hand, there's like an extra finger.
Yeah. It's got better at hands now, hasn't it, in general?
Well, everything. But it was just very funny how you'd notice it in the wild, so to speak. And because, again, it goes back to double-blind test. We can, when we do notice that there's a quality drop, we go, oh, this is junk.
It has that weird uncanny feeling, yeah.
We go, this is junk AI. But there'll be so many cases now that you won't know that it's AI because you'll have thought it was a real artist or a real photo. So it's just kind of, the lines are being blurred.
I think we'll do one more question. Done the money one, gone there. So, there's a question here about, do you think your videos would be better or worse if it was made without AI? I don't know if I don't really
Well,
know.
how do you-
Do you wanna? Yeah. Talk about that a little bit.
How on earth do you film something in space? Like, you give me a budget.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, the video with the lensing and stuff.
I suppose you could
how
learn
would you do it?
CGI, and that would how long would that take to do to?
A few years.
I think it's I mean, you're talking what Unreal Engine or Blender, and it'll take you hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours.
Well, that's what some of the students are doing that actually. So a lot of students are learning like 3D modeling and Blender and all that sort of stuff. We're actually learning a bit of Unity at the minute, but that's that's a different thing. It's more for games, really. Actually, we can round it off on this. Actually, what do you think about generative games? Because I don't know if you've seen that thing recently with Google's. Elaborate on that a bit.
It's funny, just before you mentioned this, but again, I think it's running. This is today, and this is the worst it's ever going to be. It was Doom, it's generative Doom, and it's pretty nightmarish and trippy. But again, that's the first public release. So.
Yeah.
Ultimately, everything in the digital domain grows exponentially. And that means our understanding of language. So you'll be a time where you'll just say, give it a few years, man, depending on the complexity of task. But you can just say, I want to do another up to fourth Hobbit movie, but Gollum wearing a one-piece swimming costume, and Frodo is like just he's riding a skateboard.
Yeah.
and they're like eBay auctioners or someone, just whatever you want to put in, and over the years it'll just become more and more convincing.
Yeah.
And the same goes for
part of what I understand of it with the video gen stuff as well is that it actually like simulates physics and stuff. It has some sort of way of. I don't understand how it works, to be honest, when it gets to that level, but the modelling physics, it somehow knows how to do that. Can you explain any of that? Because I don't really get how that works actually. Because if you have like a car like smashing through a wall or something, it has the ability to somehow simulate and model those physics.
Yeah. Well, one way I can imagine it does it is just with its database of already having videos of cars smashing into walls, and then it approximates that, given the information that it's given to continue the scene. So there's cardboard boxes.
So it comes back to having that humongous data set of data of actual patterns, and then it's just
precisely
being able to match those patterns up to a request from the user, isn't it?
Yeah, but here's the cool thing when it gets more sophisticated, because you can ultimately make scenes that it has zero data on as a collective prompt, but individually it does. For example, I want to see a car going at 30 miles an hour on a road, so it's kind of got that'll be in the data set. But now, instead of hitting cardboard boxes, there might be some data there. I want it to hit, jelly pots. The stacks of jelly, and then you can just describe what that is if it's struggling, and when it's sophisticated enough, it'll be able to simulate it. So, like, jelly is like you describe the sort of fluid dynamics in a basic way, and then it will just incorporate that into the sort of physics engine that it might have, inverted commas, for example.
Cool. Okay, let's wrap up on a final question then. So, let's try and think of a question for the students. So, what advice would you give our creative media students on how they use AI tools? What do you think also about how they should think about using AI tools in their future and everything else, I guess?
Yeah, well, first, I'm just another person.
Yeah, it's just your opinion, but that's fine.
Exactly, yeah. So, it might be sage advice or it might not be, but always separate. I think you can pair a real passion with getting money. And we still live in a world that you need money, but it's going to be fewer and fewer people that can merge those two things, I think, realistically speaking. So I would say don't lose your passion for being creative, but also be realistic with what tools are going to be able to do moving forward.
Good.
If this is how bad they are, and this is how bad they're ever going to be, they're only going to get better.
Yeah.
So just enjoy creating, have a project, do it, and use all the tools at your disposal to make companies, make businesses, do whatever. Let's go for it. Dive in. Yeah, Chris, we should
Make
make
some up. Yeah.
Hey, Chris, we should get a live stream of our oil painting Vermilion. We should download it.
Yeah, I need to get on that. Yeah. Cool.
I think it's not out there.
Stop the recording now.